A lot of questions, but not too many answers on Capitol Hill today. Tech experts who worked on Hillary Clinton's private email servers appeared before lawmakers, but the hearing kind of went as you might expect. Watch.
Who told you to delete the emails?
On advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer and assert my Fifth Amendment privilege.
Were you interviewed by the FBI?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer and assert my Fifth Amendment constitutional privilege.
You can't answer the question about whether or not you were interviewed by the FBI?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline.
The panel did, however, hear from Justin Cooper, a longtime aide for Bill Clinton, who, according to the FBI, used a hammer to destroy 2 of Hillary Clinton's BlackBerries.
After you left the White House when did you leave the White House?
2001.
2001. Did you ever have a security clearance at any level after that?
No, I did not have a security clearance.
When you had full access to the whole server the entire time that you were working for the Clintons?
Yes, I had access to the server.
And you have no security clearance?
I have no security clearance.
And that, of course, meant that he had access to at least some classified information. Fox News Chief Intelligence Correspondent Catherine Herridge is here. Catherine, what did we learn today from that hearing?
Well, I think one of the most interesting things we learned is that the 2 witnesses who took the fifth work for this firm called Platte River Networks. This is the Colorado-based firm that managed the Clinton server, and in March of...
And managed it after she left the State Department, right?
That's correct. In March of 2015, they used something called BleachBit to delete the Clinton archive, even though they were aware of these orders from the court and also Congress to preserve the records. And if we can just look at a graphic I have here, it was released by the committee today. There's an email from August of that year, and it's clear that Platte River was having major heartburn over the destruction of these records. They say at one point, this whole thing really is starting to feel like some shady stuff. I'll use that word instead of what they wrote there. So you see this admission that they know they're in trouble and that they may be thrown under the bus by the Clinton team.
And so we don't, and because these witnesses took the fifth, we don't know what they were thinking.
Correct.
And whether they were aware that these matters had been, that the request had come from Congress to secure these things and not to destroy them.
Well, one of the witnesses who took the fifth from Platte River gave conflicting testimony to the FBI. That's been clear in the files that were released publicly and also to Congress. And what we also know is that this same individual was able to strike a deal with the Justice Department for limited use immunity in the criminal probe. And one of the complaints from Republicans today is that these people were willing to talk to the FBI, right, but they're not willing to talk to Congress about what they know.
Well, evidently they were given immunity because of some possible criminal
well, the destruction of federal records here. That's correct.
Right. Now, we know a little bit about Platte River's view of this because our Griff Jenkins talked to the people out there a year ago, and they said that when they got the job of handling this server for Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton, that they didn't know there was any classified information.
Correct.
And if they had known that, they wouldn't have bid on the job because they didn't think they were qualified to do that kind of work, which I thought which is kind of interesting. Did anything come forward in that regard?
Well, the one person who testified today,
right,
the one person who testified, said that he had no knowledge at any point that there might be classified information on that server. But this really begs the question, how can you be Secretary of State and not have communications that are, at the very least, highly sensitive, and in this case, in the end, contained more than 2,000 emails that had classified information? I mean, it just is a complete disconnect. These are smart people, yet they seem to fail to understand that a Secretary of State would have very sensitive communications that would be the target of a foreign intelligence service.
Catherine, thank you.
You're welcome.